Hey, fellow mathers, before we get into this episode, we want to share with you how you can get access to free content, professional learning that will keep your students engaged and doing the math that matters. Get ready to go to this link, mathisfigureoutable.com/challenge.
That's right. Registration is open for the free Math is Figureoutable Challenge that's starting May 15th and runs to the 17th at 7 p.m. Central. We're going to have 3 nights jam packed with learning and routines that you can take straight to your classroom.
In these challenges, we have a great time. We do some math, talk about classroom experiences, give away super cool bonuses and prizes. You won't just walk away with routines that are naturally engaging and encourage your students to think mathematically. You'll also have a chance to win over 6K worth in prizes, including a few virtual PD sessions for your school. I'll be joined by my wonderful co host Kim and special guest Jenna Labe.
You can register at mathisfigureoutable.com/challenge for a fantastic learning experience. That's mathisfigureoutable.com/challenge. Now on to the show.
Hey, fellow mathematicians. Welcome to the podcast where math is figure-outable. I'm Pam.
And I'm Kim.
And this episode is a Math Strat Chat episode. Math Strat Chat is where I throw out a problem every Wednesday evening on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the social media. People from all around the world chat about the strategies they use. It is super to see everyone's thinking.
Okay, so this Wednesday, our math problem was 19/20 minus 3/4. How would you solve this problem? Pause the podcast, solve the problem any way you want. The problem is 19/20 minus 3/4. Solve it, and then come on back to hear how we solve it.
All right, Kim, I
Yes.
think I'm going to go first today.
Okay,
Is it my turn? Can I go first?
you can go first.
Okay, so I'm thinking about 19/20 minus 3/4 as the difference. Those feel like they're close to me. 19/20
Okay.
feels close to a dollar or
Yep.
100 or a whole, and 3/4 also. I'm thinking money, so that's why I said dollar. And
Okay.
3/4 also feels fairly close to a dollar, but I know it's a little bit less. And so I think that the how far apart those are is going to
Yeah.
be a way to think about that.
Yep.
And for some reason, I've been playing around with dimes a lot lately, and so I was thinking in terms of dimes.
Yep.
So 19/20, I can actually picture that in nickels as one nickel away from the whole dollar. And that means it's 95 cents or 9.5 dimes. So I just wrote down 9.5 out of 10, 9.5 dimes. And I know that 75 cents is 7.5 dimes.
Mhm.
And one way I know that is because it's also 75 out of 100.
Mhm.
And there's just this place value shift. So if I can think about 75 out of 100, I can also think about 7.5 out of 10,
Yeah.
which is 7.5 dimes. And now I'm looking at the difference between 9.5 dimes and 7.5 dimes, and that difference is just 2 dimes. And when I said 2 dimes right now, I literally wrote down 2 out of 10, 2 divided by 10.
Yeah.
So 2 dimes. 2 dimes is like 20 cents, and that's like 4 nickels. So I could write that as, why am I, I was simplifying, and I just made it not less simplified as 4/20. So I can also think of it as one 20-cent chunk, which is a fifth of a dollar. So
Yeah.
an equivalent. If I needed an equivalent, if I needed an equivalent, I could have gone up to 4/20, scale up, an equivalent 4/20, or also 1/5.
It's so interesting to me because as I'm hearing you describe yours, I'm thinking there are so many similarities to what we did, but just enough of a different bent on it that it would be fun to compare papers and see like exactly what was the
Ah,
same. Because as you were describing the distance or the difference between the two numbers, I was nodding like, "Yep, that's exactly what I did." But my perspective wasn't the dimes. I was thinking percents again because I love them,
because you're
and
just a
so
percent. You're a percent kind of
I
girl.
am. So
Yeah.
19/20 to me is close to that hole that you were mentioning, but it's back 5%. So it's 95%.
You're
And
an
so
over girl too, right?
I
It's all
know,
about
right?
over.
It's
Yep.
all the things I love. So I wrote down 95
Okay.
minus 75. So
Did you put percent after it when you wrote
I
that down?
didn't.
No, you're
Oh,
just because you know it, right?
yeah, it's a
If you were
scratch
trying
paper
to,
for me.
sure, if you were displaying your mathematical thinking as some sort of proof, or you wanted people to
Sure.
be able to communicate, if you wanted to communicate with people, you would have written the percent. But just
Yeah.
scratch, you're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but actually, this I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm looking at my work now and I wrote 95 minus 75, but then I wrote equals 20 hundredths. So I'm going to put a percent there because that'll bug me later if I see it.
Your kids walk in there and see that. Yeah.
Like, what, Mom? So
funny.
then I wrote down 21 hundredths, which is a fifth.
You could just add that 20% just screams probably 1/5. Yeah, nice. How come you didn't use nickels?
Oh, I don't like nickels. No nickels.
Think nickels are not your friends?
I think I actually have. This is horrible. I work a little bit harder for nickels.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna say it here and now. I'm gonna force myself to think more about nickels. It's not like I can't. I can, and I just
Well, and so sometimes, I totally get it. Totally get it. Sometimes you and I will play with relationships that aren't as that don't come as slick for us. That are not the first. They're not the first thing that we think about. I totally just realized I was leaning away from my microphone, and so our editor's going to be like, "Don't lean away from your microphone." I'm back to the. Sorry about that. Sometimes we play around with relationships that don't come as slick to us, so that they then are more accessible to us because we recognize that we want to be dense, right? Like, we don't want to just kind of have it in the recesses that we could pull it up if we have to, but we'd like it to ping because there are times when, boy, that one to ping would be so super slick that we want that one to be at the forefront of our minds. And I think that's just kind of an evolution of, once you own some things and you want to own more, and it's fun. It's much more fun to play with the things the more that you own.
Well, what's funny is that 19/20ths is 19 nickels, which is 95 cents. So it's not like it was so far off from, I percents comes to mind.
Well, that's interesting because neither of us actually used nickels because we could have done 19/20ths, but I have to reach a little harder for 75 cents to get to nickels.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking, so what is that? 15? Is
15.
It 15 nickels?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, which totally, see, I should have thought percents. If I would have thought percents or three, that's funny. I was trying to go to nickels, and if I would have just thought about 3/4 being like the relationship of 3 to 4, 3/4, I know 15 to 20. I own that 3/4. That's funny. If I would have stayed in fractions and less in nickels, I would have had an easier time getting there. Okay, I don't know if that's interesting for anyone else but me, but it was for me to think about. Thanks for listening.
We cannot wait to see your math strategy. I wonder if it was like one of ours or something entirely different. Represent your thinking, take a picture of your work or screenshot your phone and tell the world on social media. And while you're there, check out what other people did on Math Strat Chat and comment on their thinking.
Yeah, and tag me on Twitter at @PWHarris or on Instagram, PamHarris_math, and on Facebook, Pam Harris, author, mathematics education, and use the hashtag MathStratChat. So make sure you check out the next Math Strat Chat problem we post next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, and then pop back here to hear what we are thinking about the problem. We love having you as part of the Math is Figure-Outable movement. Let's keep spreading the word that math is figure-outable. Thank you for listening and making math more figure-outable.
To learn even more, make sure you register for our free challenge at mathisfigureoutable.com/challenge. You are not going to want to miss the evenings of May 15th through 17th, starting at 7 p.m. Central.
Math teaching, go register now. That's mathisfigureoutable.com/challenge. Join us to make math more and more figure-outable. And if you can't join live, register and we'll send you access to the recordings. We'll see you there.